Welcome in, Bills fans. Welcome to Bills Latest. We are brought to you by FanArc, and Dexter Lawrence is starting to look like a real possibility. Real possibility. You're just getting reports on how the two front offices in Buffalo and New York are very familiar with one another. And man, I just don't know if I want to spend that much. He's going to cost a lot. He had half of a sack last year. He ate up double teams. The guy was just commanding double team after double team, which in a 3-4, I guess you definitely want that. That would be helpful. But man, it's going to cost this year's first round of probably a few other picks, and that salary is going to be the price of a high-end wide receiver. So if something like this develops and happens and they bring in Dexter Lawrence, no wide receivers are coming. Not top talent. Not top talent. Risks in the draft potentially, but no guaranteed Juwan Jennings, Debo's, Brandon Ayuk's, Keenan Allen's, George Pickens, A.J. Brown's. When you say that out loud, Dexter Lawrence just doesn't taste well with me. It just doesn't sit well. To cost that much, can we rework that deal? Because I've said it a million times, man. How good were the Raiders last year with Max Crosby? How good were the Bengals with Trey Hendrickson? I don't care. I don't care. I feel like you can draft at this position. There's here's the thing with our defense. It was so bad last year that it'll be very hard to be that bad again this year, regardless of who's out there. Not to mention all the injuries we dealt with on the defensive side of the football last year. It's almost as if people forget that part. How basically that defense was never operating 100%. Bills fans know that. Or do they? Because the media definitely doesn't. They say complete overhaul on the defensive side of the football. Nobody, and I've said it before. Don't get me wrong. Everybody on that defense is tradable. However, everybody on that defense did not play all together last year. Very rarely. And towards the end of the year, the secondary was pretty good. The only thing this defense could not do consistently was stop the run. That's it. And a scheme could change that. Being healthy could change that. I don't know if you leverage all of this draft capital and all of this salary cap towards a guy who's just going to stuff a run. There's got to be a better way. Because that means you're pretty much done, honestly, on both sides of the ball. The rest will be draft picks if you go the Dexter Lawrence route. And your draft picks are going to be shit because you're going to have to give away so many of them and the good ones to get Dexter Lawrence. So I just don't see how that juice is worth the squeeze. I really don't. It's just not, especially there was a later draft that just came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. It had the Bills taking, I don't even remember, but right after the Bills, Akeem Mesidor was still floating out there. Now, if you're Buffalo, you cannot pass on this guy. Here's a guy that'll stuff the run. Him and Ruben Bain with Miami were wrecking balls. This guy's a stud. An absolute stud. Stops the run, can get at quarterbacks. He can do everything. I'd be really looking into this gentleman. 6'3", 280. He's out of Canada. He's close to Buffalo. But 12 and a half sacks last year for Miami, for the Hurricanes. Like, come on. Come on. That is a guy that just wants to get after it. And you could have him with the 26th pick. It's looking more and more like it. And if you could have him at 26, I'm taking him, or Ruben Bain's not going to be there, but let's say a Ruben Bain type at 26 all day over the dog shit wide receivers that are most likely going to be available at that spot, especially when I get to the next guy who's could be available in the third round. But I just think there are some college kids coming out on the defensive side of the football that are wrecking balls. They're wrecking balls. This is one of them. And this is a realistic potential could fall to you target. Because a lot of these teams, you're going to see probably at least 4 wide receivers go before it even gets to 24, 25. So you're going to have that. You're going to have a couple quarterbacks off. You're going to have Love, the running back. He'll be off the board. So there is potential that Mesidor slides to 26. Oh, am I taking that? Again, I'd rather take him with that 26 pick than trade that 26 pick away. Probably our third rounders this year. Who knows, a future second round. All the cap with Dexter Lawrence. Mesidor is a realistic option. So I just can't justify Lawrence, especially with the talent that's out there on the defensive side of the football that could be had in this draft. And I don't know how many people watched the Hurricanes play last year, but that defense is what got them to the championship. Carson Beck was decent. He was solid. But that defense, that one of the better defenses they've had in a long time. But let's talk about if the Bills do keep all these picks. Let's say they do. They keep their picks. They just took Mesidor. They just got a good guy for the defense, right? There's talk that this gentleman could be available in the third round. Skylar Bell. Fast, 6 feet. He's over 200. Or no, he's about $180. Weighs about $180. So not the biggest, but he's young. So he can put on weight. He's already 6 feet. He's fast. He's got the fast part, which again, I've said you cannot really teach it. You can hone it in. You can correct technique a little bit, but you're either fast or you're not. And he almost led all FBS last year in receiving touchdowns. With 13, he had 1,200 yards. He was second in FBS with 1,200, almost 1,300 yards. Tied for third with 13 TDs, and he averaged pretty much 13 yards a catch. Not bad. He's played in UConn last year, so definitely a down competition kind of division, if you will. But before that, he was in Wisconsin. So he's been around. He's a senior. So you got that kind of working for you, where he's a little bit older, a little bit more polished. The biggest weaknesses on this guy, though, is he's very fast, but he's sometimes fast getting to the fast. So what they mean by that is he can't get off the ball that well. That's technique. Let's learn how to just fix our footwork. We already have the speed. We know we got that second gear. How do we just hone in our routes? That's coachable. That's 100% coachable. Going up for 50-50 balls, coachable. 100% coachable. You can coach that right out of somebody. So, like, a lot of his weaknesses are pretty coachable, are pretty fixable. If he's down to learn and he is coachable, he'll be all right. And this is what we need. We need a guy that can take the top off of defense. And this guy breaks it to the house. Tied for third again last year. 13 TDs. Yes, he played at UConn, the classic American East. However, he did play in Wisconsin for a little bit. I like how I have to reiterate that he played in Wisconsin for a little bit just to make me feel better about potentially drafting a kid from UConn as our wide receiver. I have to cover it with Wisconsin. Can we please go get A.J. Brown? Like, come on. Sure, this kid could be good. Probably is going to be good. Good enough. But I have to cover that he went to UConn last year and say that he went to Wisconsin the previous years. I don't know. Just doesn't feel right. But anyways, I'm kind of curious what Bills Mafia thinks. Would you guys spend on the defense or the offense? Would you draft with the 26th pick for defense or offense? What are we doing here? Where are you leaning to put? Let's say you had to put all of your eggs in one basket. Obviously not smart. But let's say you had to. Where are you putting them? You putting them on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball? Let me know in the link in the comment section below. And again, we'll be back tomorrow with some more good stuff for you guys. This has been Bills the Latest. We're brought to you by FanArc. We hope you hit that like and subscribe button down below. Again, it helps us out tremendously. And again, thank you guys so much for watching.